The camera fades in slowly, with dramatic music rising in the background, and the familiar copper glow of a Lincoln cent filling the screen. The audience is instantly drawn to the mysterious world of rare coins, where ordinary pocket change can hide extraordinary treasures. Today, we dive deep into one of the most surprising coins from the early 1960s, a coin you may have handled many times without ever imagining its hidden value. This is the story of the 1963 D Mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent coin, a penny that may look simple and common on the surface, but under the right conditions, it can be worth as much as $60,391 in today's market. The journey begins in the early months of 1963, a time when America was full of rapid change, economic development, and historical events that shaped the future. The Denver Mint was operating at full speed, producing massive quantities of coins for circulation. Among these were the well-known Lincoln cents, part of a design that had already been in circulation since 1909. The portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse had become iconic, a reminder of leadership, unity, and American heritage. The wheat ears on the reverse had already been changed to the Lincoln Memorial in 1959, and this new design dominated American pocket change throughout the 1960s. The 1963 D Lincoln cent is a copper coin made up of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, weighing 3.11 grams. These cents were produced before the major composition shift that occurred later in the mid-1980s, when rising copper prices forced the mint to switch to zinc with copper plating. Because of this original, solid copper composition, coins from the early 1960s remain highly collectible, especially when preserved in the highest grade. Now, the first thing that a collector wants to know is how many were minted. The Denver Mint produced an incredible number of these coins. More than 800 million pieces were struck, flooding the American money supply. With such high mintage, most people assume that the 1963 D penny is common, and in circulated condition, it usually is. You can still find them in rolls, jars, and old collections. But what makes some examples worth thousands, tens of thousands, or even over $60,000? The answer lies in the condition, rarity of grade, and the presence of errors that occurred during production. Even though hundreds of millions were minted, almost none survived in perfect, untouched, high-grade condition. Most were spent, damaged, worn down, or improperly stored. The tiny fraction that remained in pristine state, untouched by human hands, are the ones that collectors chase, and the ones that can sell for life-changing amounts of money. Imagine opening an old coin album or inheriting a small box from a grandparent, only to discover a 1963 D penny shimmering with its original mint luster. Under magnification, the coin reveals razor-sharp details on Abraham Lincoln's hair, crisp lettering, and a brilliant shine that looks like it was minted yesterday. These are the qualities that grading companies like PCGS and NGC look for when assigning top-tier grades. The highest grades, particularly MS-67 and MS-68, are incredibly rare. And it is these grades that drive auction prices into the tens of thousands of dollars. One such example sold recently for more than $60,000. Collectors were stunned, bidders competed aggressively, and the price skyrocketed due to the rarity of a perfect strike combined with flawless surfaces. A coin like this is not just a piece of money, it is a masterpiece of minting history, preserved against all odds for more than 60 years. But condition alone doesn't tell the whole story. Errors and varieties can also dramatically increase the value of the 1963 D penny. Among the most sought-after errors are double die obverse and reverse varieties. These are rare mistakes in which the coin's design is stamped twice slightly out of alignment, creating doubling in the letters, numbers, or parts of Lincoln's face. When collectors discover a strong double die on a 1963 D penny, the value can jump into the thousands instantly. There are also repunched mint mark errors, where the D mint mark was struck more than once by hand, leaving overlapping impressions that appear doubled or distorted. These are particularly interesting to collectors who specialize in mint mark varieties. Even minor examples of repunched mint marks can bring a healthy premium, especially in high grades. Off-center strikes are another exciting category of errors. These occur when the coin blank, known as a planchet, is not properly centered in the press during striking. A 1963 off-center penny with a clear date and mint mark can bring impressive value, depending on how dramatic the error is. The more off-center the strike, the more desirable it becomes, provided the important details are visible. Then there are die cracks, cuds, and lamination errors, smaller but collectible mistakes that occur due to die stress or impurities in the metal. These are not as rare as major errors, but in high grade, even the smallest unique features can add substantial value. As we explore the deeper history behind this coin, it becomes clear why the 1963 penny holds such a special place among collectors. The year 1963 was significant not only for minting, but also for the broader events taking place in the United States. This was the final full year of President John F. Kennedy's administration, and a time of social transformation. The coins minted during this period act as tiny time capsules of American history. Collectors often appreciate coins that represent historical eras, and the early 1960s hold a nostalgic charm. They represent a bridge between classic mid-century America and the modern era. Many collectors who grew up during this time seek coins like the 1963 penny to recapture a piece of their childhood or to contribute to a complete set of Lincoln Memorial cents. Now, when discussing the current market value of the 1963 penny, it is important to understand that not all coins are worth thousands. Most circulated examples have only modest value due to their abundance. However, uncirculated examples, especially those pulled directly from mint sets or preserved by collectors decades ago, can be significantly more valuable depending on grade. A typical uncirculated 1963 penny might sell for a few dollars to maybe $20 or $30 in common high grades like MS63 or MS64. But the value climbs dramatically when moving into MS65, MS66, and especially MS67. Coins at these extreme high grades are scarce, and collectors frequently compete for them in auctions. This scarcity drives the highest quality examples into impressive price ranges. And then come the record-breaking coins, the pinnacle of rarity. A perfect gem example graded at the highest level known can enter the elite category of numismatic investment pieces. That is exactly how we reach the stunning price of $60,391. A coin like that is not simply purchased, it is chased, bid on, fought for, and ultimately won by the collector or investor who understands its true rarity. Beyond value, one might ask, how do you know if you have a rare high-grade 1963 penny in your possession? The first step is examining the luster. A strong cartwheel effect, where light reflects beautifully across the surface, is a sign of originality. Next, check for contact marks. High-grade coins have very few visible marks, even under magnification. The details should be sharp, especially in Lincoln's hair, beard, and coat. The fields, the flat areas of the coin, should be clean and free of major scratches. If your coin appears exceptionally sharp with brilliant luster and minimal marks, it may be worth sending to a grading company. A small investment in authentication and grading can multiply your coin's value many times over if it receives a high grade. Collectors also pay attention to color designations. Copper coins can be classified as red, red-brown, or brown depending on how much of the original red mint luster remains. A full red designation dramatically increases value, especially in high grades. A 1963 penny that is full red and graded MS67 or higher is a treasure. In the realm of rare pennies, the 1963 stands out for its combination of high mintage, historical context, beautiful classic design, and the potential for exceptional value in top condition. For many collectors, it represents the thrill of the hunt, finding that one perfect example hidden among millions. As we approach the final part of this deep exploration, imagine holding a 1963 penny in your hand. At first glance, it may seem like any other common penny. But with the right features, it could be a rare gem worth tens of thousands of dollars. Welcome back to the channel, coin collectors and treasure hunters. Today, you are about to hear one of the most exciting stories in the world of rare coins. We are diving deep into the incredible world of a coin that almost every American has touched at some point. A coin that looks ordinary but can completely change your life if you find the right one. I'm talking about the legendary 1982 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny, a coin that carries a current market value of $69,723. Yes, a simple penny that most people would ignore or drop on the ground can actually be worth more than a luxury car, more than a down payment on a house, even more than many people make in an entire year. So sit back, relax, and listen carefully, because by the time you finish this video, you will know exactly what makes this coin so special, where it came from, why it's so valuable today, and how you can check your own coins to see if you might be sitting on a small fortune. The year 1982 was a very important year in the history of American coinage. It was the year the United States Mint made one of the biggest changes to the Lincoln cent since its creation in 1909. For more than 70 years, Lincoln pennies had been made of bronze, which is mostly copper. But copper prices were rising quickly in the late 1970s and early 1980s, and for the U.S. Mint, making a penny was becoming more expensive than the value of the coin itself. That meant the mint was losing money, and something had to change. In 1982, the mint decided to switch the composition of the penny from 95% copper to a new, cheaper metal core made of zinc coated with copper. This major change created several different varieties of the 1982 Lincoln penny, including variations in weight, composition, and even the style of the date engraving. And right in the middle of this changeover, a rare and incredibly valuable era coin was born. The 1982 no-mint mark Lincoln cent that collectors are now paying tens of thousands of dollars to OW and to understand why collectors are willing to pay such a huge amount for a single penny. We need to talk about what makes this coin so special. When the mint switched from copper to zinc in 1982, they produced both copper pennies and zinc pennies during the same year. Each type has different characteristics. Copper pennies weigh about 3.11 grams, while the new zinc pennies weigh only 2.5 grams. On top of that, the mint used two different styles of the number 2 in the date. These two styles are known as the small date and the large date. So you ended up with multiple variations: 1982 large date copper, 1982 small date copper, 1982 large date zinc, and 1982 small date zinc. But here's where it gets interesting. The Philadelphia Mint, which usually produced pennies without a mint mark, accidentally created a rare combination during this chaotic changeover period. This extremely rare variety of the 1982 no-mint mark penny is the one that collectors go crazy over. It is the small date version struck in copper when it was not supposed to be. And because so few of these coins were made, they are incredibly rare today. In fact, finding one of these coins today is like winning the lottery. That's why the current market value stands at $69,723 for a high-grade example. And that value is expected to rise even more as collectors continue searching for these coins and as the supply becomes smaller over time. The key factor behind the value is scarcity. Collectors love coins that are rare but still possible to find in circulation, or old coin jars. This creates excitement and anticipation, especially for new collectors who hope to strike it rich with a lucky discovery. Now let's talk about how the error actually happened. During 1982, the mint was phasing out copper planchets and switching to zinc planchets. But not all of the copper planchets were removed from the production bins. Some leftover copper blanks were mixed with the new zinc blanks. And during this mixing period, the dies used for the small date coins were also being introduced. The result was a tiny number of small date copper pennies accidentally being struck with no mint mark. These coins slip through the system unnoticed because the difference between copper and zinc is not obvious unless the coin is weighed or inspected closely. At the time, the mint was focused on efficiency, not on catching subtle differences in penny composition. And because the mint mark was not used on Philadelphia coins, there was nothing to distinguish these coins from regular pennies. They went straight into circulation with millions of other pennies. It wasn't until years later that collectors discovered this rare combination. By then, countless coins had been spent, lost, damaged, or melted down. Only a very small number survived in good condition. And that is why collectors today are paying such high prices for them. So how can you tell if you have the rare 1982 no mint mark small date copper penny? There are a few simple tests you can do. First, look closely at the date. The small date version has a very distinct appearance. On the small date, the numbers look lighter, thinner, and more delicate. The top of the number 2 is level with the top of the 1, and the bottom of the 2 curves up slightly. In contrast, the large date has thicker numbers with a heavier appearance, and the 2 looks more rounded and sits slightly lower than the 1. Getting familiar with these differences is the key to identifying the correct variety. Next, you need to check the weight. This is the most important part. The rare variety must weigh about 3.11 grams, which means it is made of copper, not zinc. You can use a digital scale that measures to 2 decimal places. If your 1982 penny weighs 2.5 grams, it is zinc and not the rare variety. If it weighs around 3.11 grams, you may have something extremely valuable. Keep in mind that a slight difference in weight can occur due to wear, but a copper penny will always weigh significantly more than a zinc one. Another clue is the color and sound. Copper pennies tend to have a richer, more reddish tone, while zinc pennies may look duller or grayer over time. If you gently tap a copper penny on a surface, it produces a clearer ring-like sound, while zinc pennies sound dull and flat. This method is not as reliable as weighing, but collectors often use it as an additional tool. Once you have identified a possible 1982 small date copper penny, the next step is authentication. If you believe you have found one, do not clean the coin. Cleaning can destroy its numismatic value instantly. Instead, place it in a protective coin holder and contact a professional grading service such as PCGS or NGC. These companies can confirm the variety and give the coin a grade based on its condition. The highest value comes from coins in mint state condition, especially those graded MS-65 or higher. Even lower grade examples can still be worth thousands of dollars. But the real jackpot is a high-grade coin. Imagine finding a penny in your old change jar, submitting it for grading, and learning that it's worth nearly $70,000. That is the dream of every coin collector. And it's a very real possibility. People continue to discover rare 1982 small date copper pennies to this day. Some of the rarest coins in history were found in coin rolls from the bank, in pocket change, or even in old coffee cans stored in basements. The story of the 1982 no mint mark penny also shows how small mistakes at the mint can lead to massive value in the collector market. When coins are supposed to follow strict composition and design rules, anything that deviates from those standards becomes instantly interesting to collectors. Errors, transitional pieces, wrong planchets, double dies, and misstruck coins all fall into categories that collectors love. And transitional errors, like this 1982 penny, are among the most valuable of all. Let's talk more about why the 1982 transitional errors are so famous. Transitional errors occur during years when the mint changes the composition or design of a coin. In this case, 1982 was the transition from heavy copper pennies to lightweight zinc pennies. Transitional errors can happen when leftover blanks from the previous metal composition accidentally get struck with the new dies. These mistakes are rare because the mint typically sorts out all old stock before switching to a new composition. But occasionally, a few old blanks slip through. One of the most famous transitional error coins in history is the 1943 copper penny, which was struck on leftover copper blanks during a year when pennies were supposed to be made of steel. Those coins are now worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, and one example even sold for over $1 million. The video begins by welcoming the viewers into the fascinating world of rare coins, and today's journey takes us inside the story of a modern coin that most people overlook every single day. The 2001 D Mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent coin is a coin that millions of people have handled, tossed in jars, spent at stores, dropped in cars, and never once gave a second thought to. Yet within this innocent and common-looking penny hides a surprising secret. A tiny fraction of these coins have sold for tens of thousands of dollars, with one incredibly rare example reaching a staggering current market value of $65,876. In today's video, we will explore exactly why this coin, which seems so normal, can be worth life-changing money. We will cover its history, its production, its errors, how to identify the valuable ones, what makes collectors pay extreme amounts, and how you can check your own change for a hidden fortune. We begin with the background. The year 2001 was a busy year for the Denver Mint. The United States Mint was producing billions of circulating coins, and the Lincoln cent remained one of the most heavily minted denominations. The Lincoln cent in 2001 continued the long-running design created in 1909 to honor Abraham Lincoln on the centennial of his birth. Victor David Brenner's iconic portrait of Lincoln on the obverse and the classic Whittier-inspired memorial design on the reverse had long been a part of American culture. In 2001, the design still featured the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, a design introduced in 1959 to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Though production numbers were high, the Denver Mint still had occasional issues that created varieties and errors, some of which are extremely valuable today. Most people assume that coins minted after the year 2000 are never rare or valuable, but that assumption is far from true. Even in high-mint years, errors slip through, quality control issues occur, and freak accidents in the minting process create coins that collectors fight over. The 2001 D penny is no exception. Although over 6 billion pennies came out of the Denver facility that year, only a tiny handful exhibit the error combinations that produce high value. This is where the story gets exciting, because the coin worth $65,876 is not a normal 2001 D penny, but a very special error coin in extremely high grade. To understand why some of these coins reached unbelievable prices, we need to explore the minting process itself. A penny starts with a blank copper-coated zinc planchet. That planchet is fed into striking machinery between two dies, one for the obverse and one for the reverse. When everything goes correctly, the dies strike the planchet with tremendous pressure, imprinting the perfect design. When something goes wrong, you get doubling, off-centering, broad strikes, wrong planchets, clipped planchets, die cracks, cuds, and many other varieties. Errors that occurred only on a few coins become highly desirable, especially when the coin is preserved in uncirculated condition. Some 2001 D pennies have been discovered with strong doubled dies, die breaks across Lincoln's portrait, and even rare off-metal strikes, which instantly elevate their value into thousands. Another major value determinant is condition. Collectors always pay more for coins that appear flawless. The grading scale used by professionals ranges from poor 1 all the way to mint state 70. A 2001 D penny at mint state 68 or above is extremely rare. Most coins from circulation show scratches, discoloration, staining, rim dings, or zinc corrosion. When a 2001 D penny is found fresh from a roll or original mint set, and it shows no visible marks under magnification, it can score a high grade at companies like PCGS or NGC. Those high-grade, pristine examples have sold for enormous amounts of money. The record example that reached $65,876 achieved its price not only because of the error it carried, but also because of its incredible preservation. Let's take a moment to talk about the types of errors collectors specifically search for on this coin. One of the most desirable is the doubled die obverse. This occurs when the die itself is improperly manufactured, resulting in doubled letters, doubled numbers, or doubled details on Lincoln's face. Strong doubling on the date, the word liberty, or the motto "In God We Trust" is extremely valuable. Another major error type is an off-center strike. When a coin is struck off-center by 40% to 60%, with the date still visible, collectors pay hundreds or thousands depending on condition. Coins struck on the wrong planchet, such as a dime planchet or foreign coin planchet, instantly become high-value rarities. In addition, die cracks, especially those forming a raised line across Lincoln's face or a large retained cut on the reverse near the memorial columns, can create unique pieces that collectors love. Some 2001 D pennies are also known for wide AM or close AM reverse varieties. Although these features are more commonly associated with 1998, 1999, and 2000 cents, a few rare transitional die varieties appear in 2001 as well. Even subtle spacing variations between the letters in America or unusual details on the memorial building can drastically impact value. Now let's talk about the history behind why the Denver Mint struggled at times with dies. During the early 2000s, the Mint was under pressure to meet massive production quotas. Billions of pennies had to be produced quickly, meaning dies wore out faster and were sometimes used past optimal lifespan. When dies wear down, they develop cracks, chips, and distortions, which end up striking flawed coins. These flawed coins, instead of being destroyed, sometimes slip into circulation unnoticed. People may carry them for years, spend them, drop them in change jars, and never realize they are holding something extraordinary. This leads to the key message of this video. You can find rare and valuable coins in your pocket change even today. The 2001 D Lincoln penny worth $65,876 was not discovered by a dealer. It was found by a collector who unexpectedly noticed unusual doubling on the lettering and an exceptionally sharp strike. After sending it for professional grading, the coin received one of the highest grades ever given for this year and variety. That is when the value skyrocketed. Let's shift toward understanding the collector market. Modern-era coin collecting has grown massively over the last 10 years. Collectors are always hunting for modern gems that were saved in pristine condition. Registry set collectors, people who assemble the finest graded coins of every year, will pay incredible amounts for the highest graded example of any date. That is why a common year like 2001 can suddenly have a record-breaking penny worth tens of thousands of dollars. In addition, the demand for modern varieties has increased thanks to online auctions and social media exposure. People are more aware now than ever before that even new pennies can be treasured. To help viewers check their own pennies, let's break down what you should look for. The first thing is the mint mark. The letter D under the date indicates the coin was struck in Denver. Next, examine the date closely with a magnifying glass or your phone camera zoom. Look for doubling on the 2, the 0, and the 1. Doubling looks like a shadow or a second outline. Then inspect the word Liberty. Any signs of doubled lines or thick, separated edges indicate a possible doubled die. Move to the motto "In God We Trust" and check for distortions, doubled letters, or unusual thickness. On the reverse, examine the memorial building. Check whether the spacing between the A and M in America is wide or very close. Look for cracks around the roof, the steps, or the columns. Any raised ridge or irregular shape could be a die crack or cud, which increases value. Condition is just as important. Coins showing shiny luster, no scratches, no spots, and sharp edges have much greater value potential. If you find anything promising, avoid touching the coin's surface. Place it in a soft holder and consider sending it to a professional grading service. A graded coin always sells for more because buyers trust the certification. Now let's talk about auction results. Over the years, several 2001 D pennies have sold for impressive prices. High-grade Mint State 67 examples can bring hundreds of dollars. Mint State 68 coins can jump into the thousands. And then, in extremely rare cases, the combination of a major error and exceptional grade pushes the price above $60,000. The coin valued at $65,876 became legendary among collectors. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we are diving into a modern coin that many collectors completely overlook, a coin that millions of people have handled in their daily life without realizing that one rare version can be worth more than a brand new luxury car. Yes, we are talking about the 2015 D Mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent coin. At first glance, it looks like just another ordinary penny from the Denver Mint. But the truth hidden beneath its copper-coated surface is astonishing. A rare condition, a rare strike, and a rare discovery have pushed a tiny 1-cent coin into the world of high-end numismatics, with a current market value reaching as high as $90,573. Today's video is going to take you deep into the history, the minting details, the era possibilities, the grading secrets, and the market forces that have turned this 2015 D penny from everyday change into an investment-grade collectible. So sit back, relax, And let's explore how a coin minted less than a decade ago has become one of the most valuable modern Lincoln cents ever discovered. The story of the 2015 Lincoln cent begins at the Denver Mint, where billions of coins are produced every year. In 2015 alone, the United States Mint struck an enormous number of pennies, well over 5 billion from Denver. These coins were meant for circulation, for everyday use, and for most people, the penny is the smallest and most ignored denomination. But within that massive production run, numismatists have discovered that a very small number of coins were struck with unusual sharpness, exceptional planchet quality, and perfect surface preservation. These are the coins that have shocked collectors and auction houses alike. It might sound surprising, but modern pennies can reach extremely high values when they receive a perfect or near-perfect grade from major grading companies like PCGS or NGC. Mint state grades in the MS68 and MS69 range are incredibly rare, and the quality control at the mint means that only a tiny handful of coins will ever achieve such perfection. And this is exactly why the 2015 penny has risen to fame. A few extraordinary examples found in uncirculated sets and bank-wrapped rolls have been submitted for grading, and the highest graded examples have sold for staggering prices. One such example reached the unbelievable current market value of $90,573, turning heads throughout the coin collecting community. But before we go deeper into grading, let's go back in time and understand the coin itself. The obverse of the 2015 Lincoln cent features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, originally designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909. This design has been used for over a century, becoming one of the most iconic images in American coinage. Above Lincoln's head, the inscription "In God We Trust" remains prominent. To the left, you'll find the word Liberty, and to the right, the date 2015 with the D Mint mark standing proudly below it, representing the Denver Mint. The reverse of the coin features the Union Shield design, introduced in 2010. The shield has 13 vertical stripes representing the original colonies, joined by a horizontal bar inscribed with the words 1 cent. This design pays tribute to Lincoln's role in preserving the Union during the Civil War. Above the shield is the motto E pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one. This simple yet symbolic design has been used on all Lincoln cents from 2010 onward. Even though billions were minted, condition is the key. Most coins entered circulation immediately, meaning they were tossed into pockets, dropped on floors, rubbed against other coins, and quickly accumulated scratches, marks, and wear. But a very small fraction remained untouched, preserved in sealed mint packaging or saved by collectors who recognized the importance of keeping modern coins in pristine condition. These untouched examples became candidates for extremely high grades. Now, when it comes to the 2015 penny, collectors have identified several characteristics that can dramatically increase value. The first is strike quality. A coin with a strong strike means every detail is crisp, Lincoln's hair strands are sharp, the lettering is bold, and the shield lines on the reverse are fully defined. Strike weakness is common in modern pennies, especially with such large production runs, so coins with exceptional sharpness already stand out. The second factor is surface preservation. To achieve top grades like MS68 or MS69, the coin must show almost no marks visible even under magnification. That means no bag marks, no scratches, no dents, and no discoloration. A single tiny mark can drop the grade and reduce the value by thousands of dollars. The third factor is luster. High-quality pennies exhibit a glowing, cartwheel-like shine that reflects light evenly across the surface. When graders see a coin with full luster, untouched surfaces, and flawless detail, they know they are looking at something extremely special. Now let's talk about how the 2015 penny climbed its way into the high-value category. The excitement began when collectors started discovering extremely high-grade examples in original mint rolls. Some of these coins were so perfect that they achieved near-impossible grades, becoming Population 1 or Population 2 coins, meaning only 1 or 2 examples exist at that top grade. This rarity in high grades is what pushed the value into the 5-figure and eventually 6-figure range. Auction houses reported incredible results. Bidders went head-to-head over the best graded examples, recognizing that such coins might not appear again for years. Modern high-grade coins have been gaining market attention because collectors increasingly want perfect coins from every year. And when supply is extremely low, the prices skyrocket. That is exactly what happened with the 2015 penny, pushing its rarest graded example to the current market value of $90,573. Now you may be wondering what makes this specific year so special. After all, many modern pennies are minted in the billions. But here's something collectors know: the mint's production quality varies from year to year. In 2015, some Denver-struck coins were produced during periods where die pressure, planchet quality, and die freshness aligned perfectly. These conditions only occurred briefly, making the highest quality coins incredibly scarce. Think of it like a perfect storm of minting conditions. Everything came together for only a handful of coins, and that is why top-graded 2015 pennies are so valuable today. Let's dive deeper into the grading process so you can understand exactly how a penny becomes worth $90,000. When a collector sends a coin to PCGS or NGC, expert graders examine it under magnification, using multiple lighting angles. They assess detail, surface quality, color, luster, and any microscopic marks. For a coin struck for circulation to receive MS-68 or higher, it must be nearly flawless. The graders look for imperfections smaller than a grain of sand. If everything is perfect, the coin receives the top grade, and this is where the magic happens. Because if a coin becomes the finest known example, collectors who want the best of the best will pay extraordinary prices. Now let's talk about errors and varieties. While the 2015 penny is most famous for its ultra-high-grade examples, a few error coins have also been found. Some exhibit small die chips, especially around the shield area. Others have minor misalignments or doubled die characteristics, though confirmed major doubled dies for 2015 are extremely rare. If anyone ever discovers a dramatic doubled die or major struck-through error on this coin, its value could explode even further. But for now, the majority of the value comes from perfect condition coins. Let's move into how you, as a collector or even a beginner, can find one of these valuable coins. First, check bank-wrapped rolls. Many modern high-value coins are discovered by roll hunters who examine brand-new rolls from the bank. If you get uncirculated rolls from 2015 with the Denver Mint mark, there's a small chance you could find a high-quality coin. Second, check mint sets. Some of the best preserved examples of modern coins come from official U.S. Mint annual sets. If you have a 2015 mint set stored away, it's worth examining the penny closely under good lighting. Third, use magnification. A jewelry loupe or coin microscope can help you check for marks, scratches, and surface issues that affect value.